Hello, everyone. My name is Dennis King, and I'm the CEO of Solace. We're here at another Fireside Chat for our EDA Summit, and I'm joined and super excited to be joined here by Christophe Leray, who works for the Mousquetaires. How's it going, Christophe? Welcome.
Hello, Denis. Thank you for welcoming me. Hello, everybody. I'm very fine, based in France, indeed.
How are things going in France with the COVID and all the different all the difficulties around COVID? How are things going over there?
Well, all the countries are in very variable situations. For now, in France, we are locked down, and the government is talking about getting out of the lockdown during the next 2-3 weeks. This is not clear still, but this is our third lockdown that we had over the past 13 months. So this is a pretty particular situation, but the same situation, I assume, in California, and this is a worldwide crisis.
It's everywhere, and as we see more vaccines, I think we are seeing more lockdowns in parallel. But we'll get through it. I think we'll be better in the end. So I look forward to that happening. So why don't we jump right in with the first question, Christophe? Why don't you give us a bit of background of yourself and how you actually became the Director General where you're at today?
So yes, I joined the company almost 4 years ago, and I'm a general manager for a company called Stime, which is the IT subsidiary for the Groupement des Mousquetaires. The Groupement des Mousquetaires is a retail company, mainly based in France, but in a few countries in Europe too. Prior to this, I have a track record in IT. I worked over different companies. The previous one was PMU, the French company dedicated to horse race betting and sports betting, with huge IT challenges, either in the back office or on digital and e-commerce. And prior to this, I've been working for different industrial investment banking research centers. So very different companies with very different cultures and very different businesses.
Wow, that's quite a range of industries. Really, really cool. So just to give the audience some more background on yourself, Christophe, we're going to do a real quick lightning round on some quick questions here. So could you tell me what your favorite book is?
I like novels, detective novels. So from a French writer who's called Fred Vargas, but I also like American books, especially those ones from Michael Conley. Sorry.
Cool. Your favorite movie?
Apocalypse Now, because I was young. I was 13 years old when it was issued, and I love the music.
Wow, awesome. What about your favorite band?
Very traditional, the Rolling Stones.
Oh, that's a different one. Okay. What about your favorite food? Being in France and everything, it must be French food, is it?
I know I'm French, so I really like traditional French food. So pot-au-feu, blanquette de veau, salade niçoise, etc.
Cool. And your favorite sport, either to play or to watch? Maybe it's horse betting, maybe, or something. What's your favorite sport?
Not really. I'm not watching that much sports, but I like doing rowing.
Rowing. Oh, cool. I did some rowing as well. It's awesome. So first question is related. You mentioned Steam, and I think most people don't understand the full scope and size of the Mousquetaires and the group companies that it entails in terms of thousands of stores and number of companies. So you did mention what Steam is specifically, but could you highlight a little more details on what Steam is and the difference between Steam and Les Mousquetaires, and a little bit about just the size and scope of Les Mousquetaires in general?
So Les Mousquetaires is a retail group, mainly based in France, but also with a few implementations in a few countries in Europe. We are a retail company specialized in food with the brand Intermarché, and on DIY with the brand Bricomarché. So we are number 2 on the French market for food, and number 3 on the French market again for DIY. And one of our specificities is that we have an integrated manufacturing line with a 4 billion euro business dedicated to food manufacturing. So it is pretty original in the industry. So we are a retailer, but also a producer. We manufacture. And to give you a few figures, we have in France more than 2,000 shops on Intermarché and more than 700 shops on Bricomarché. So this is a very significant business with a major logistics piece, as we have more than 40 warehouses all over France, but also in Poland, in Portugal, and in Belgium. And we have a completely integrated business where we have the manufacturing piece, the logistics, and then the shops. And Steam in that environment is the IT subsidiary dedicated to providing IT solutions to all those different businesses.
Awesome. And we certainly see quite a bit happening in the retail space worldwide, and lots of people talking about digital transformation, obviously, but we're certainly seeing it accelerating. And it is common. It seems like a lot of these retailers, a lot of folks don't understand how much of the supply chain manufacturing and factory work that goes on behind the scenes to bring food to the retail stores. And that's got to be a pretty significant challenge. So when you think of digital transformation across these companies, what are some of the business problems you're trying to solve, or how big of a thing right now is digital transformation in the business?
Well, this is about the different activities within the group. So I would start with all what relates to customer relationship. So e-commerce, and especially with this current crisis with COVID, our volumes on e-commerce especially drive, have totally exploded. We've gone through volumes which are 3 times more than what we did prior to the crisis. So all the e-commerce and either shipping to the store where the customer would get to the store and pick up his orders, or shipping to the home is really growing or exploding, and this is a key challenge for a traditional retail company to address those requirements and get to have the right technologies and solutions to face the customer requirements. This is about customer relationship too, where we are really moving to manage closely a direct relationship and personalized relationship with the customers. And then this is also about the business performance all along the supply chain, as you mentioned. With IT is really an enabler to increase the performance from the industry, the manufacturing piece, down to the shop and to the latest steps in the shops. And so this is really talking about how IT can contribute on 2 key pieces. First, developing the business, and this is especially around e-commerce. And second, improving business performance all along the activities throughout the company. And I would add one more thing, which is about user experience. So user experience can rely on customer experience, and we're back to e-commerce, but also can rely into employee experience. We're investing a lot on mobile first solutions to get our employees in the different workplaces to work with smartphones and do their jobs assisted with smartphones, rather than what we used to use until recently, saying PCs.
So Christophe, you mentioned e-commerce increasing by 3x with COVID, and that must be putting significant strain on the systems. But can you talk a little bit about some of the technical challenges that that you're facing, whether it's sort of back-end supply chain or whether it's with the whole e-commerce volume of information? Can you talk about some of the technical challenges and some of the business impact of those challenges?
Traditional retail companies have always looked at IT as a cost center and have always been targeting at reducing their level of investment and costs in IT. With all the revolution that takes place on e-commerce and with all the pure players which are on the market today, things have changed, and traditional retailers have realized that IT has become a business enabler and that it is required to invest in those areas. So this is a big change in our industry. The consequence of the last 40 years is that when I joined the company, there were a lot of technical challenges because the systems were pretty old, with some obsolescence, some design which took place 20, 30, 40 years ago, and we had to renew all that stuff. So we have engaged a huge transformation plan which is targeting at the business processes first, to renew the business processes, go to a better performance, underlined by IT systems, which we are renewing. So what we are conducting these days is, of course, digital projects to improve our digital platforms. Also, huge projects on data. Again, this is pretty fancy those days. But what we are doing too is investing in ERPs, which had never been done in a company like ours, by replacing homemade applications, which have been compiled year on year over the last 40 years, by huge ERP platforms that would take and concentrate a lot of business functions into a single platform. So this is a big, big change. And we are on a 7-year long transformation program with a very heavy investment. And alongside with all the choices that we've been doing, as we are investing in different platforms, there's not in a company like ours, a single platform that will do everything. Some software vendors were pretending to do that 20 years ago, but they have demonstrated that there's no solution around this. So we are implementing different platforms. And of course, what we need to have in the middle of those different platforms is integration buses, integration platforms that will enable us to manage all the data flows that take place between those different operational platforms and towards also data systems.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. And I'm assuming, becoming more real time and putting that integration fabric in the middle, I'm sure that one of the big drivers is to get real-time information flowing throughout the business so that you can actually drive better customer outcomes.
Yes, this is especially true on e-commerce. And for a company like ours, doing e-commerce means not having only a very nice front end with a customer experience as optimized as possible, but also to have those front ends to be connected to a lot of backends in real time with all the resiliency that you need, all the performance that you need, because as seen from the customer, everything has to be extremely rapid, while in the systems, information is flowing through very different systems, very heterogeneous systems. Some of them are really at the back end, and they still have to be performant and to provide real-time information. So yes, this is especially true with the digital platforms and e-commerce, where we have to get all those interactions very rapidly.
I was reading a little bit about the background on Steam and the Mousquetaires, and I was really surprised how much discussion there was on supply chain, agriculture, and fishing boats. There was just so much to the infrastructure that I didn't realize. And you mentioned multiple platforms. So I'm assuming that you're looking at different technologies like IoT platforms, AI platforms, event-driven architecture platforms, and even cloud. I'm sure cloud is becoming a big topic within this digital transformation. So what's your point of view on these different technologies, and how do you make them all work together?
Well, first we are trying to make them work together, trying our best, and it's not easy every day. That's what we are struggling with. Well, to make it very short, we are building really the basis today and rebuilding the basis in our environment. So there's a few subjects that will come later on, and that are not on the table today. For instance, IoT, for instance, is not really a key priority. We need to have the basis down first. Cloud, yes, we are using either cloud for e-commerce platforms, but also using more and more software as a service solutions with some key providers. Event-driven, yes, we are developing more and more activities around this, especially with customer interactions. What we are looking at is how we integrate all those different technologies and get to manage the overall complexity of this world. What I've seen over the last 30 plus years of working is that there is more and more. IT is getting more broader and broader within the business, whatever the business, and the complexity of IT is rising year on year. So this is one of the key challenges that an IT organization has to deal with is how to master that complexity. We do not have one cloud. We are using tens of clouds, different clouds. How do we interact? How do we manage the interactions, the interfaces, the proper orchestration between those different clouds? How do we manage security in that environment and business continuity? So that's part of our job, to manage the complexity. And again, the integration platforms and supervision that we can have on top of all these complex systems is really key today in our world.
Yeah, I think that's a very common theme across a lot of retailers and certainly a lot of industries around the need for multi-cloud and the interconnections of multi-cloud and the streaming of information between clouds. So that's a very complicated world, and you guys are on that track. So very, very good. So my second last question for you is related to your, you've been on this digital transformation theme for quite some time. You said it's a 6 or 7 year project, I believe. What advice would you give for other senior leaders that are embarking on, this kind of a digital transformation that has a lot of a real-time component to it, a lot of an integration component to it? What advice would you give from someone who's been in the mix of it and has 30 years of experience in this space?
The first advice I would give is to develop within the IT organization a true capability to manage and make our key choices by ourselves, meaning that never expect whatever systems integrator or software vendor to give you the right advice. They will give you some right advices on some pieces of your overall IT systems, but the overall strategy, roadmap, architecture, you have to manage it, and you have to have a clear roadmap and view on where you are going, independently from all the different vendors that will try to convince you to do everything red or everything blue or everything green or whatever the color. There's no single color, and that's part of the complexity. And within that complex environment, having a data integration strategy with clear platform standards, ways of integrating and packaging information is really key. And this is key to agility and to maintainability over time. Third, go fast, try very fast, and fail fast. Sorry, this is usual now, but meaning that especially in our environment, you know, the pace of sales in retail and the pace of IT are totally different. The pace of sales is at the week level. The pace of IT, whatever we can say, is at a level of a few months or a month on e-commerce, but on a year level on backend systems. And you have to adapt to those different paces, and that's a key challenge. So trying to do things very fast, just to try to give some business value very fast, is a very good way to answer to the business requirements. But also accept to fail, because implementing that kind of architectures and solutions takes time. It takes time. It's a learning curve. It takes time to get the right people to do the right things and become knowledgeable. And to become knowledgeable, they have to learn from their failures, from their mistakes. And finally, this is a long way. I mean, it's a short way and long way, but this is a long way, and this requires to have a clear strategy and a clear view.
Yeah, no, I think those are excellent points, and I think you're right for sure on the maturity level. There's so much technology coming in across cloud, across real time, across IoT, and you know, if you don't fail fast, then you'll never get there. So there's going to be lots of mistakes as the industry matures, and getting a clear vision and strategy on top of that is definitely critical. So totally agree with you. And my last question for you, Christophe, is what's next for Steam?
What's next for Steam? Execution. We have designed a very ambitious roadmap. We have done something like 1/3 of the job. We still have a long way to go, and so this is now about execution. And it is key that the execution of all our projects takes place properly and delivers the value that we are looking at from a business standpoint and from an IT standpoint.
Awesome. Well, listen, Christophe, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. Congratulations on your success so far with the business, and wish you all the best in France, staying safe through this COVID time. And I certainly hope that when all of this is passed, I can get over to France and we can get together face to face for a formal introduction. But thanks so much for taking the time. I'm sure the audience will be super impressed with the background. So thanks again.
Thank you, Denis, for giving me this opportunity for this exchange. And yes, I'll be more than pleased to welcome you in France very soon.
Look forward to it.